So now we're going to shift over to the Baltimore Ravens news of the day. So we're just going to be talking about cuts, really. The three main notable guys from their practice squad are safety Nigel Warrior, safety Jordan Richards, and then undrafted free agent, rookie quarterback out of Utah, Tyler Huntley. Him and Trace McSorley were kind of in the battle for QB3, and they were kind of both gadget guys. I'm kind of surprised, but Trace McSorley is, he's a decent option. I guess Tyler Huntley, I don't know what he is in the NFL. He is a decent player at Utah, where they almost made the college football playoff if they didn't just screw it up against the Oregon Ducks. Another interesting note is that former Baltimore Raven, Brandon Carr, he's 34 years old. He kind of lost a step with the Ravens near the end, plus he was making a lot of money. He's now on the Cowboys practice squad, which is really weird to see. And you're seeing a few things like that around the NFL where these older players, you saw it with Josh McCown too. He's their emergency quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's on the practice squad too. Usually it's reserved for younger guys trying to prove themselves, and still a lot of the players on the practice squad right now are. But with it being up to 16, we're picking up some veterans as well. So, some notes to go over that the Ravens only keep two tight ends, Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle, duh. It kind of covers all their needs, blocking, receiving, everything like that. Scoring. It's kind of weird to see because if one of them goes down, you're obviously probably going to have to aim to sign two tight ends because I don't know if Mark Andrews can handle the entire load, and Nick Boyle, who started most of the games, probably wouldn't either. You need to sign more receiving tight ends if Andrews goes down. So now we're going to go to 7th round pick Gino Stone, safety out of Iowa. Man, I love this guy. He's a smart, physical player, and I wouldn't be surprised if he saw time this year, splitting it a little bit with Chuck Clark. They're both similar players. Gino Stone isn't the fastest man in the world, but he definitely pays with working hard and being physical. Moving on to DJ Fluker. He made the roster, surprise, and he's a starter. I just saw a lot of people around, the Ravens, they're thinking that he might get cut, which was kind of weird. The reason why the Seahawks cut him was because he was making a ridiculous amount of money. The Ravens were smart, scooped him up for a year, now they have a mauler in the run game. And also, with the last news, Deshaun Elliott is starting at free safety. There's no other guy who's probably going to take that spot. And non-Raven fans who don't know how special he is, or non-Texas Longhorn fans not knowing how special he is, watch out. Deshaun Elliott, he's not going to beat Earl Thomas this year, but he's definitely going to make an impact to the Ravens. So now let's talk about some of the notable cuts. There weren't a lot of crazy ones. We're going to talk about Kenyon Barner. He's a running back and return specialist kind of guy. He battled some injuries during camp. He never really found his footing in the NFL. He was a solid back at Oregon. He had some decent runs with the Philadelphia Eagles. He won a championship. So good for him, but he's looking, he's going to lose speed because he's getting older. So I'm curious to see if a team picks up Kenyon Barner, because especially with a lot of younger running backs now making their scene into the NFL, it's going to be tougher for older running backs like Kenyon Barner to make it. So now the other guy that we're going to talk about, well, the only other notable guy, is Jaleel Scott. He was a 4th round pick in 2018. So in 2018-2019, he played 3 games. He had 1 reception for 6 yards. He was a special teamer in the 3 games he played. Coming out of the draft, the Ravens were expecting him to be this long-armed, big target, red zone threat. And there were warning signs right away because he had poor speed and route running. And he just couldn't stay healthy. He had a rib injury this coming training camp, and, that just kind of shied the Ravens away. So when we're looking at that, we are now looking at our final Ravens receivers, probably, unless there's some injury. So we're thinking Willie Snead, Marquise Brown, Devin Duvernay, Miles Boykin. Those 4, I guess they're all kind of interchangeable depending on how good Boykin has been doing. He's been making big plays this training camp. He also did last year, but he didn't get as much time on the field as we were expecting him to. And then you have Chris Moore and James Prochet. One day I'm going to get his name right, hopefully when he's winning a Super Bowl. Chris Moore is kind of a returning guy, so is Willie Snead, so it made sense that Kenyon Barner wasn't going to make it, and Jaleel Scott was not going to make it either. He's just not that fast as a receiver. So with that concludes all the Ravens news for today.